Alright, hello guys, how's it going? In today's video, we're going to be talking about Winter Storm Isaiah. Once again, it is now a named storm. We've been talking about this storm for a few days now, and things are looking a little more icy than before. I'll get into what I'm talking about there. Now, before I get started with this video, I would ask that you do subscribe if you do like weather-related content, and also make sure to share this video with your friends or family if they live in the impacted regions. Alright, let's get right into things. Now, we have some very interesting developments. We have more ice expected in between the snow and the rain. I'll talk more about that. More rain expected in the rainy areas, so flooding is going to be very possible. And then even a moderate risk of severe weather now, which is one category higher than what we had as of yesterday. So things are getting more and more impactful as they look now. Let's look at your current hazards. This is going to be your watches, warnings, and advisories. If I'm going a little fast in this video, that's because I have a lot of stuff to cover. There's many more frames in this video than typical, so that's why I am going to be going a little bit quicker than typical. Now, within a lot of these green areas there, from Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and then up in through Missouri, Illinois, and Indiana, we have flash flood watch and flood watches. It's really hard to differentiate those two colors. It's probably flood watches within there, but there is multiple different green colors in there. So we have some flood warnings, flood watches, flash flood watches. Nevertheless, we are expecting a lot of flooding to be possible within that green area. Also notice we have winter storm watches there for Illinois and Iowa, and then also for areas in Michigan. Winter weather advisories there for Wisconsin and Michigan as well. A little bit of Minnesota maybe as well. And then out west, we are expecting a winter storm, and we have some winter storm watches and winter weather advisories as well out in the west. Now we're about to get into our storm track map, which is going to be very telling of the impacts we might be feeling for different regions throughout Winter Storm Isaiah. Now we have less and less cold air available behind the storm as time goes on. We're really looking at a more warmer solution here. And that's why we're going to have a lot of ice, because we're going to have a lot of underlying cold that gets below those warm layers, and that's what's really going to lead to a lot of ice accumulating on the ground. We will have a ice map at the end of this video, and also we're going to be talking about the precipitation types throughout the video, so you will be quite aware of what precipitation type you're going to be expecting. If you're very observant, you might notice that our storm track is a little bit more curved than before. It goes up north towards Michigan a little bit more, and really it's the same for New England though, except it's coming from kind of the west instead of the south there. Let's add our first layer here, which is going to be our severe weather layer. We're expecting more and more severe weather than originally anticipated here for Texas, Arkansas, Louisiana, in through Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and a little bit of Kentucky and Missouri there as well. We even have a second shade of severe weather here, and this is where we're expecting a enhanced to moderate severe weather risk within this region, as well as we're in the hatched area here, which means we're expecting significant impacts to be very possible within this region. So be on the lookout if you're in that deeper red region. We also have flooding possible within this green region. Lots and lots of rain expected. And then within this pink area, we have a devastating ice storm. Looks very high potential for inches of ice, which can create major issues if you've ever been in an ice storm. So not looking good. Within this lighter blue shade, we have some snow. Not going to be the bullseye of snow, but we could get a few inches of snow within that region. And then our most snow region is going to be within this dark blue color. And that's where we're expecting the potential for 10 to 15 inches of snow and even 15 inches plus. Now we're about to get into our simulated radar, which is going to be very exciting to take a look at. You'll see some of those thunderstorms developing, and also take a look at where the heaviest of the snow is going to be falling. Now, another thing I didn't mention is we're also going to be able to see where the ice is going to be falling as well, which is another added benefit of looking at this simulated radar. We're so close to the storm that we can look at these high-resolution radar maps to actually get a really good idea of where our storm is going to be and the impacts we're going to be feeling. So we're starting things out. This is going to be Friday, I would say maybe 11 a.m. or 12 p.m. And you can see we do have some showers down there for the deep south and a little bit of snow for the Dakotas, Nebraska, Colorado, but that's not really too associated with our system there. We do have some rain going on for Indiana and Ohio, through Pennsylvania and New York as well. Let's move on towards Friday night into Saturday. This is going to be about 2 a.m., and we see that line of thunderstorms really developing by this point down there for Texas and through Arkansas, and we see supercells developing out ahead of it in Texas and Louisiana. That's what those little red dots are. You can hardly see them. but we are looking at high potential for supercell development there. We also have some snow starting up for Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, and then ice starting up for Kansas, Missouri, Iowa, and Illinois. Let's move on again, and this is going to be by about 12 p.m. on Saturday, January 11th, and we see a lot of snow going on, but again, a lot of ice for Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, and in through Michigan now, indicated by those pinks and purples. It's just going to be more ice, more ice, more ice, and as we move on towards, I would say, the late afternoon, early evening time, we see very heavy snow there for Missouri, Iowa, Wisconsin, in through Michigan, but just to the south of it, we have a wide layer, again, of very heavy ice or freezing rain that is falling, and this is going to lead to a lot of accumulation in this freezing rain, inches possible, again, like I said. Now, as we move on, we have to lower the resolution here. We see snow to end there for a lot of the areas that were getting ice. We might get some snow on top of that for Wisconsin and Iowa and Michigan. And we see a lot of Wisconsin still getting snow by this point, and then Maine getting ice by this point, indicated by those purples. And we're about to move on and take a look at the end of this storm, and then also take a really good look at our total snowfall expected according to the models, and then also our direct weather expected snowfall totals. We're going to have our official snowfall map actually at the end of this video as well. Now, I forgot to mention, but that was about by 2 a.m. on Sunday, and this next frame is out about 8 a.m. on Sunday, January 12th, and you can see the snow for the Midwest and Great Lakes is basically wrapped up, but we do have some ice and snow still around for New England there, particularly ice for Maine and New Hampshire, and then a little bit of area of very far northern Maine is expected to stay all snow throughout this storm. And then by our next frame, which is going to be Sunday afternoon, we're basically all said and done with this storm. Now, your total snowfall in the GFS is a little bit further south than the rest of the models. The problem with the GFS is it usually tends to pick up ice as snow. It thinks that the ice that it's predicting is going to fall to snow. So that's why we see those high amounts near Chicago and southern Michigan. I do not think that'll be the case whatsoever. Even some areas in Iowa and Missouri are overdone here, as well as areas in southern New England. I think those high snowfall amounts will be only for the northern half of Maine, I would say. Again, our official snowfall map will be at the end of the video where you can get a better look at what we're expecting. Now, real quickly, here's your European model as well. We can see within those blue colors, that's where we're at 2 to 6 inches about. And then in the purple, that's where we're at about 6 to 10 inches of snow. In the pinks, that's where we're looking at about 10 to even 20 inches of snow. And in those kind of whitish, bluish shades there, that's where they're expecting upwards of about 20 inches of snow there for Wisconsin, Iowa, and Michigan. Now, this model does tend to run into the issues where it counts some of the ice as snow, but it doesn't do it as bad as the GFS typically would. But we are expecting a lot of snow for Wisconsin and Michigan specifically. Now, we're about to get into your ice forecast and then finally your official snowfall forecast. And then we're going to talk a bit about that severe weather risk, which is probably why some of you are in this video as well. So we will get into that after this as well. All right, now first off, here's your ice map here, and this is according to the European model, and this is just astronomical amounts of ice. In those lighter shades of pink, as you can see, that's where we're at about 0.01 to 0.25 inches, which is already enough to do damage as you get towards that quarter-inch amount. That's when it can start to really break off some branches. It's as we get in between a quarter-inch and a half-inch of ice, that's when the real damage starts to get done. That can cause some damage to a lot of different things. We also have in the darker pinks, that's where we're at about 3/4 of an inch to 1.25 inches. And then you see some of those darker, almost deep red colors. That's where we're at about 1.5 to 2 inches or more of ice there for some of the southern central regions of Michigan and then up through Canada. So that's where we could see some significant damage. Also, the most significant part of this is that we see downtown Chicago very, very close to the bullseye of the ice, where we're close to about 1 inch of freezing rain. Very, very potentially damaging event for areas in Michigan, Iowa, in through Missouri and Illinois as well, and then up through portions of the New England states. We can see upstate New York as well, and then Maine getting a lot of that ice. Now let's get into our official snowfall forecast. In this white region, first off, we have about a dusting to 3 inches of snow for a lot of these regions. Now, we also have a 3 to 6 inch amount here within this light blue. Also, keep an eye on Maine there, as northern Maine is getting a lot of these amounts as well. But this is mostly for the very eastern regions of Kansas, far northern Oklahoma through Missouri into Iowa. We see that Kansas City and Chicago is in this 3 to 6 inch amount. Then we see 6 to 10 inches of snow just near Kansas City and just to the north of Chicago there. The ice is going to lead to a lot of the snow not accumulating as we get ice instead of snow for areas to the south of this. Then we see 10 to 15 inches of snow for this dark color. We also see this for Maine, but mostly for the Great Lakes states and Iowa, Illinois, and Wisconsin. Then we have our 15-inch plus amounts here for Wisconsin and Michigan within this purple shade. This is where we're expecting the most snowfall to fall, and it could be very significant amounts of snow at that. Now, we could be making an update tomorrow depending on how things play out. I might be making one more video for Winter Storm Isaiah tomorrow, so be on the lookout for that video. Let's get into the severe weather portion of this video, and as you can see, the Storm Prediction Center has added a moderate risk there for Texas through Louisiana and a little bit of southern Arkansas there, and that's where they expect the highest risk of severe weather as of right now, in between Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. And this is going to be for Friday into Friday night towards Saturday morning. And obviously this is just a very extreme severe weather event that's potentially setting up here. And I want you guys to take this very seriously, because one of the biggest impacts with this one could be tornadoes driven by the supercells there. So we could see significant tornadoes on Friday and also Saturday here. Very, very dangerous situation setting up. And I can't remember the last time I've seen a moderate risk during the wintertime, let alone the very beginning of January. So very unique and rare situation here setting up. As we look at the probabilistic outlook here, I always mess up that word, so I might have pronounced that a little weird. But within this black hatched area, that's where they expect significant severe weather to be potential. And if you read the description of their severe weather map here, they say there's a chance for significant tornadoes, also known as EF3s or above. There is a significant chance for those within this red and purple region, within the black hatched region there. Now, we also have a risk on day 3, which is Saturday through Sunday. And we have an enhanced risk there for Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and the Panhandle of Florida. And as we look at the probabilistic outlook of this one as well, we do see a hatched area for those regions. And again, that's where we expect a big risk for significant tornadoes. So very serious situation coming up, and I'm planning on trying to live stream during these storms. So if you do live in these regions, be on the lookout. We're going to be streaming and trying to cover this for multiple hours as we're in the heat of the storms. It's going to be very late at night, so I'm going to have to see what I can do. But I'm trying really hard to live stream for you guys during these storms, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Again, be sure to share it with your friends and family if they live in the impacted regions, and I'll see you guys in the next video.